Hey guys, welcome to episode 12. This is Two Girls Chirping. I'm Lauren.
I'm Abby.
And what do we need to talk about? What are the headlines?
Austin Matthews might be injured.
What do you mean might?
He was injured earlier on in the season. He came back. I don't know. I got a notification yesterday that he wasn't going to be playing in tonight's game. So they haven't directly said he's injured, but he's not playing.
If he's not playing, then he's not well.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
The Rangers, there's a lot to talk about there still.
They are this. So in Formula One, we have silly season, which is typically in between the summer break. And that is basically where a bunch of trades happen and contracts get renewed, extended, released. Everyone gets fired. It's called silly season because you wake up one morning and like 15 different things have happened overnight. The Rangers are giving Formula One silly season. Like every time I open social media, it's just new trade, new this.
Yeah.
Chris Drury. And I'm like,
yeah.
ugh.
No, it is. Capo Caco was traded to Seattle for Will Borgen.
Good for Seattle.
Yeah. Capo Caco's good. He's young. He's 23. He's been very good. But over the past 2 years, they have had a bunch of trade rumors. It's giving Trouba. And he just never actually was signed to any other team. He actually signed a 1-year restricted free agent deal in the spring of this year.
That don't mean shit.
Well, he was going to be an unrestricted free agent in the summer, which would give Chris Drury less control. They wouldn't make as much money. And so a lot of people are saying they probably just traded him so that they could get some profit off of it. But he has been healthy scratched a couple times. He's had a lot to say to the media. When they healthy scratched him, he was interviewed and they were like, oh, is there a specific part of your game that you need to work on? And he basically was like, it's not for me to say, that's for them to say. I'm not doing anything. They haven't said anything, so I'm not doing anything.
A diva.
Yeah, he's iconic. That's me paraphrasing. And then Will Borgen, on the other hand, had a career high season last year. Seattle's had a lot of coaching changes, and he hasn't done well under Seattle's new head coach. So maybe the Rangers will be a good fit for him. We'll see.
Doesn't sound like the Rangers are smooth sailing. I kind of feel like I'm seeing, I don't know, all I can think of is the audio that's like, and then it like pans to the other person. It's like, I'm spinning like a ballerina.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking
about. They're the chaos ones.
Yeah, they are. They also put literally who's next because they have some more star players. And I think this was the problem with the Trouba thing is Trouba's never really been one of their star players. And those like three, Chris Kreider, Capo Caco, who has now been traded and stuff, there were no trades with those. So he was kind of also like, why are you trading me if you're not trading them and they're not playing well either? But a lot of people
I'm the captain.
A lot of people are thinking that there's going to be a trade between Boston and the Rangers, Brad Marchand for Chris Kreider. I don't know. Brad Marchand would fit in with the Rangers type of play.
I agree.
But we'll see. I mean, it's not like he's having a great season either.
I think
They also think that Peter Laviolette will be fired. Laviolette.
I think we also need to talk about the Matt Rempe of it.
Matt Rempe of it all, of him getting... It is the most toxic ex situation. You know, they bring him up. He gets in fights. He gets ejected. He gets penalized. They send him back to the AHL. Then they bring him back up. He gets ejected, having to meet with the league. It's insane.
I haven't seen
it's so
the
toxic.
Play, but didn't he illegally elbow someone or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
Oh my gosh.
He's so big.
I think it comes down to
reckless.
He can't control himself on the level that he should be able to.
Well, he's not NHL material yet.
No.
They just bring him in to beat
him up,
essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it's not for his finesse, it's for his violence.
All I'm saying is the Rangers and the Canes are playing tonight, and I'm so glad that Matt Rempe's not going to be there. One more thing about the Rangers, and then we'll talk about San Jose. I saw somewhere, I can't remember where, but I can find it, that there was a players meeting, and it wasn't, normally if there's a players meeting, it's to discuss the coach and try to rally against them, but it wasn't to discuss Peter Laviolette. It seems like their major problem is with Chris Drury.
I did see that.
Yeah, and I am scared. I'm not scared at all, but I think Chris Drury is
we've traded our captain. We've traded Capo Caca. You know,
nothing has.
Let's just trade Chris Drury to I don't care where and see what happens.
Yeah,
it can't get worse than it's already.
It can't get worse. You're not going to win the cup. You're definitely not making it to playoffs.
The only way it could be worse is if you go on a 12-game lose streak like Buffalo is. God bless them. Thoughts and prayers, my guys. Stay strong.
Yeah.
Okay, who are we talking about today? You said San Jose and...
The San Jose Sharks and the Calgary Flames. I actually want to talk about Calgary first.
I'm so excited to talk about Calgary because they have been... I feel like every episode for like the last 3 or 4 we've talked about them.
Well, you'll see why too, because both of these teams have a lot of players that you know. Great. Like I'm pointing out things that you're going to know these players.
Okay.
So
let's go.
Calgary, I don't have a team that it really stuck out to me, but it's giving the Monaco Grand Prix.
How so?
A cult following.
Yes.
It's got a lot of backing due to its history, but they aren't like the most thrilling team.
I will accept Monaco GP.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it sounds like.
They do a lot, and they have done a lot over the history to keep this team in Calgary. Specifically, the community banding together to do it, despite poor performance and entertainment at times.
Just like Monaco.
Yeah, I was like, it's them.
And they fight so hard to keep Monaco on
they do.
The list of races, and for what reason it's literally so boring.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go, Calgary. Let's go.
So they were founded in 1972 as the Atlanta Flames.
Where is Calgary?
Alberta, Canada. So the Oilers are also in Alberta.
Oh.
So they're currently owned by Calgary Sports and Entertainment, which is a locally owned organization.
I love it when they do that.
Yeah. Their current general manager is Craig Conroy, and their current coach is Ryan Huska. They have 1 Stanley Cup. They have 3 conference championships, 86, 89, and 2004. And they have 8 division championships. The most recent being 2022.
They really haven't done much.
They haven't been doing much. It's true. So, you know the WHA-NHL merger, right? Aren't you so glad I taught you about this before we got into it?
Thank you for teaching me early because it's in every episode.
It's a lot of the history. They had granted a franchise to Long Island, right? Because
Long Island.
They didn't want the WHA to put a team in a certain arena, so they put a franchise there.
LIRR.
Billy Joel.
Piano Man. That's a sad one. New girl. There's a quote for every scenario.
There is. They needed to balance out the schedule, so they needed to add another team somewhere. And it was awarded to Atlanta, to a group that owned the NBA Atlanta Hawks, mainly led by Tom Cousins. And the name, the Flames part of the name, stems from the March to the Sea that happened in the American Civil War. It resulted in a fire that nearly destroyed Atlanta. They freed thousands of enslaved African Americans and successfully destroyed multiple Confederate outposts in Georgia.
Period.
They had pretty early on success in Atlanta. They went 6 times. They went to the playoffs 6 times out of their first 8 seasons. And that's pretty consistent, but they didn't have any success in the playoffs. They didn't make it past round 1.
I mean, I've heard them beat a ton of other teams in playoffs.
Yeah. They've had their times, but you'll see
a theme.
They never even signed a major TV contract, so it wasn't getting streamed pretty much anywhere, so they didn't have a lot of fans either.
Yikes.
They were just not having great success. Tom Cousins, who owned it in 1980, fell into financial troubles just because they weren't making much money. They couldn't really do it, so he sold the team to save them from bankruptcy. They sold to Nelson Scalabania, the former owner of the Edmonton Oilers. Yeah, he also had a bunch
Why does that feel a little...
We didn't own the Oilers at the time.
I know. But he was like, you know what? I'll do it again.
I'll do it again.
I'm not leaving.
He also had a group of multiple oil magnates along with him, which money. And
You're doing a good job with saying
oil.
You're like actually saying it right.
Yeah, I can't always say it right. You just can't.
The twang. It's the OI. I can't. Oil. I can't. Oil.
Oil. Lightning.
Lightning.
Light. We're from Alabama.
Lightning.
Lightning.
The lightning struck and killed someone. It was very dramatic for the town. There was a whole funeral procession down Main Street, and the roads were covered in oil.
A short story by Lauren Mansell.
A glimpse into my mind. Terrifying, huh? They call me Lauren Egner Poe. Lauren Allen Poe. Okay, Tom Cousins and his old magnets. Tell me about these rich people.
Mr. Cousins didn't have money. He sold to Nelson Scalabania.
What did
his rich
Scalabania and his rich old friends say?
They said, we're moving to Calgary.
They said, pack up. Let's rodeo, bitches.
But they did decide to keep the Flames name. So they became the Calgary Flames instead of Atlanta Flames, obviously.
I like that, though.
I do, too. Nelson actually sold his portion of the stake in 1981, and it's been locally owned ever since.
I freaking dig that.
Yeah. They moved. Their first season in Calgary was the 80-81 season. The city loved the team. They qualified for the playoffs, winning round 1 versus the Blackhawks in the 80s, and won round 2 against the Flyers in the 80s before losing to the North Stars. So,
ooh, that's a gorgeous team name.
Mm-hmm. We haven't talked about them either. They are now just the Stars. They're Dallas.
Dang, I like North Star better.
I do too.
But I mean, if you're in Dallas, then
they're no longer
you're really
North.
the South Star.
So that season was great. The city loved them, right?
Absolutely.
82 through 84 was a different story. They didn't have any success, really. They made the playoffs once, lost in round 1 to the Oilers. Shock. Everybody's lost in round 1 to the Oilers.
We've all been there.
Yes.
Happens to us all. Everyone can relate.
Yeah, but they were very open that their main focus was building a strong and mature team. So I think that's fair. From 1984 to 1991, they did build a strong and mature team. They were one of the strongest teams in the league with 90-point seasons, all except for one of them.
Good for them.
They still struggled in the playoffs, mainly due to the fact that they were in the same division as the Oilers. And the Oilers were so good.
80s and 90s Oilers are not to be trifled with.
No, and the way that playoffs were set up at that time, they pretty much played the Oilers in round 1 every single time.
I'd be like,
give me a break.
Bro, no one else. I can't play anyone else. I got to play my freaking cousin the whole time, every time. My better than me cousin.
However, in 1986, the Oilers were the number 1 pick to win the cup.
Shocking.
Duh.
So
but
surprised.
The Flames defeated them in round 2 of the playoffs, the only time that they would beat them in a series that decade.
I mean, they cashed in all their tokens in one go.
Yeah, they won the conference finals before losing to the Canadiens in the Stanley Cup finals in 5 games.
There too.
Yeah, we have.
Freaking
Look,
Canadians.
that was a strong era of hockey in
You
US.
had to really mean it. Or be Vancouver and just be better than the other losers.
Yeah, they really just went off vibes. They were also shocked to be successful.
You're like, are you sure?
What? But we lost. And the 86-87 season, they had the best regular season at the time of 46-31-3, losing in round 1, which also seems off.
That doesn't seem good at all, really.
But, like, just good enough for the playoffs.
That's like I'm not good at math, and I had a late night and very tired, so I'm not even going to try and attempt what percentage I think that is.
I can't either. That's like, nah.
It's like 57%.
Yeah, it's somewhere there. Actually, I do want to know.
Actually,
46 out of 34.
I'm a fucking genius.
How the frick did you know?
I am so smart. And
I had a late night and I'm tired.
That was just a bold guess, first of all. Second of all, that's why you get your doctorate.
Well, that season was their best at the time, which is kind of crazy. The following season, 87 through 88, They recorded their first 100-point season. They won the President's Trophy, which is the best regular season record in the league, which the Oilers had won the past 6 years in a row. Yeah. And then they were swept in round 2 by the Oilers.
I mean,
Tracks.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, I keep messing with this hat so much. It's not sitting right on my left ear.
I'm sorry.
We might do an outfit change.
88-89 season, still improving. Won the President's Trophy again with 117 points that season.
Nice.
Beat the Canucks in round 1 in a Game 7 overtime. That included a glove save by Stan Smeel on a breakaway in overtime that still remains a defining moment for the Flames' history, apparently.
I remember hearing about that in the Canucks episode. I gotta respect it.
Yeah, we remember hearing it from the other side. Yes. They swept the Kings in round 2 and beat the Blackhawks in round 3, making the finals versus the Canadiens, where they won the cup in 6 games in Montreal.
They beat the Canadiens in Montreal?
Yeah.
In 6 games?
Yes.
You know what? We're not JV anymore.
Yeah. On this cup, Sonia Skurfield, who was a co-owner, her husband was originally co-owning the team, and then he passed, and so she kind of inherited that ownership, became the first Canadian woman to ever have her name engraved on the cup.
I'm obsessed with it.
I love it.
Nice to see a woman in a men's field.
Women in men's sports. Fields, whatever. Sergei Priyankin in 1989 became the first player that the Soviet Union actually allowed to come and play in the NHL, because prior they all had to defect. Cliff Fletcher, who was a majority owner of the team at this time as well, played a major diplomatic role in getting the Soviets to allow a small select group of players to play.
Where's your masterclass episode?
Yeah.
Because I need to know what you're doing.
So he became a regular in the NHL, but he was already in his 30s by the time he came over. So he didn't have much of a career. He didn't have much success, but he did blaze a trail for many Russian players in that era that wanted to come over, which was his slide.
Trailblazer.
He actually won the Calder Memorial Rookie of the Year in 1990 in his 30s, which was a controversial pick. And now because he was in his 30s. Competing against like 18-year-olds.
Man's a rookie.
There's now a maximum age of 26. Outfit change.
Sorry, that hat was sitting so weird on my left ear and it wouldn't freaking stop. And it was driving me crazy. I was getting very overstimulated and I was not able to properly listen.
Okay. 89-90 season, they were just 3 points away from winning the President's Trophy again. They still made it to the playoffs, losing it to the Kings, and they would not win another playoff series until 2004. Yeah. Cliff Fletcher left the team to be the GM at Toronto. He organized, as his parting gift, trades between Toronto and Calgary that people have quoted completely transformed both clubs.
Oh, man.
I know.
You. Do you think he got in his car and was like, home?
I'm going home. Yeah, I do. The Leafs, due to this trade, became competitive again, and the Flames also acquired a very high goal scorer. So it was pretty good. I just love that he gave a parting gift. It wasn't necessarily his parting gift, but I think it is.
I'm viewing it as his parting
100%.
gift. 100%. He did that with love in his heart and both teams in his mind.
Yeah. Regardless of that trade, they did miss the playoffs in 92 for the first time since 1975.
Yikes.
Yeah, when they were still in Atlanta. It was their 3rd time ever missing the playoffs in franchise history. So
Nice.
But they would make the playoffs the next 4 seasons, losing in round 1 each time, until 1997, where they would miss the playoffs again and would do so for the next 7 years.
No.
Yes. Attendance was obviously low because
nobody wants to see losers.
No, not at all.
Except for the girls who think they can fix them.
Which is crazy because prior to that time period, Calgary tickets had been the hardest ones to get because they would sell so quick.
That's so
sad.
Disheartening.
Yeah.
Understandable. Still sucks.
This is where the community really comes into play, though, because in 1999, ticket sales were down so bad, they weren't making much money off of it. The owners put out a statement to the people the fans, essentially, buy more season tickets or we will leave and go to the U.S. Fans then bought enough to keep the team there. And the same thing happened in 2000.
Yeah. Nothing like having to beg your fans to come.
Yeah.
Really just boost morale.
Ooh, I'm thrilled.
Warm and fuzzy.
Let's
go Calgary.
It's estimated that between 2001 and 2003, they lost $14.5 million.
That sucks.
Yeah. But in that 2002-2003 season, the head coach was fired after being last in the conference again, and Daryl Sutter replaced him. They love Daryl Sutter. He's actually so freaking funny. There's so many compilations of like his most iconic interview moments. He's just very dry, blunt, to the point. He became the head coach in that 2002-2003 season, and then the following season he became general manager. He is credited to reviving that franchise.
Let's go, Daryl.
Yes. His first move was acquiring Mika Kiprisov, a goalie who he had coached previously, who actually went on to allow the lowest goals against average for the 2003-2004 season.
Period.
They made the 2004 playoffs and won the conference title before losing in the finals to Tampa Bay in a Game 7 double overtime, which is crazy.
You know what? Before that, we were begging fans to come. So
yeah,
I'm going to take that win.
Yeah, a win is a win.
Put it in my pocket and break it out on a rainy day.
Yeah. Then there was the labor dispute lockout season. Yes. The 2005-2006 season post-lockout, they finished with 103 points, won the division title before losing in round 1 to Anaheim. Post-season, Sutter, who had been both head coach and general manager, he released his head coaching position to just purely focus on being general manager.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They made the 2007 playoffs, and they lost in round 1 to the Red Wings.
Fair enough.
Yeah. They were fined in Game 5 multiple times for stick-related penalties. So high sticking, slashing, all of these. So they just didn't freaking control their stick. One of the penalties, though, was against the goalie, who was suspended for 5 games after slashing a forward. That said forward actually scored the series-winning second overtime goal that saw them lose. So they had a new head coach into the 2007-2008, which was actually their third coach in 3 years.
That's never good.
Yeah, they made the playoffs, lost in round 1 to the Sharks this time.
Yes.
Lost in round 1 in 2009 as well to Chicago. Missed the 2010 playoffs. 2011, by Christmas, they were 14th in the conference. Sutter actually was asked to step down as general manager.
Oh, no.
They rallied, but not enough to make the playoffs at all.
They're like, let us keep him. We love Daryl.
Yeah, that's our man.
That's my man right there.
Yeah, to 2012, they didn't make the playoffs. Didn't make them again in 2013. 2014, I said the only bright spot was Johnny Gaudreau making his NHL debut after being drafted in 2011 in the 4th round.
You're one of the only people I know that pronounces the T in debut. It's okay. You can say you're better than us. I already knew it.
Yeah, I'm better than you.
Fair.
Oil. Lightning.
And what do the trains drive on?
Tracks.
What kind of tracks would you describe them as?
Railroad tracks.
That is not organic and you know it.
It's not. Railroad tracks. That's normally how it comes.
Railroad.
Johnny Gaudreau actually won the Hobie Baker Award the day prior to his NHL debut, which is given to the best scoring college athlete. So he won that. The next day, he made his NHL debut and scored in his first ever NHL game, which is sweetie.
Miss him.
Yeah. 2015, they made the playoffs. Thank God. Beating the Canucks in round 1. Their first playoff series win since 2004. Before losing.
What was going on? Was it management? Was it players?
They just, sucked.
It wasn't here first. They just sucked.
No, there wasn't anything noteworthy. They just weren't consistent. They didn't do well in playoffs. They still don't.
You know what they say? When you try your best and you don't succeed,
Yeah.
you should
2016.
leave and come to Birmingham.
Please.
That's how the phrase goes.
Hey.
I didn't make it up. It's not my phrase.
The Atlanta Thrashers didn't do terrible.
I don't want Atlanta.
So,
I want
well, if you let me finish, I was about to petition for Birmingham. I give up. The 2015-2016 season, they actually had pretty high expectations. They had acquired defenseman Dougie Hamilton.
Dougie! I love that man. He is a ray of sunshine. If I could put that man in my pocket and carry him around with me and just break him out at parties and be like, look,
it's a Dougie Hamilton.
Like, I love that.
You know how Emma from Track Talk has a little mini Will Powers?
That's just what I was
You
thinking.
need a mini Dougie Hamilton.
I smile
I've
anytime
gotta
I
find
see
one.
that man. Even when he's like, what is that? He's still smiling. I love that man.
We're Dougie Hamilton apologists in this household.
First of all, he doesn't do wrong.
He doesn't do
When's
any
the
wrong.
last time you saw him do wrong?
Name them.
Name them.
Name them.
Cite your references.
They were really excited, though. They had pretty high expectations. However, they did not make the playoffs. In a crazy turn of events, this playoff season, the 2016, no Canadian team made the playoffs. Yeah.
How did that happen?
They just, sucked.
They were just bad.
They just suck. In the 2016 offseason, we're seeing some people get moved around. They acquired some veteran players that weren't out of their prime yet, but that had the experience and the maturity. They also, in the 2016 draft, selected Matthew Tkachuk 6th overall.
You love this man.
I do.
So they had
before
Dougie
the season began.
Hamilton and Johnny Gaudreau on the same team.
They had Sean Monahan, who's incredible, Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, Dougie Hamilton, all on the same team.
A bunch of sweeties. And then there's Matthew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone's got to be the
It's a great way to say it.
Someone's got to be a diva.
Yeah. So the 2016-2017 season, they developed the 3M line. It was Tkachuk, Backlund, and Frolic. They were the rough forward line, essentially, because they're hard to play against.
That tracks, for sure.
And they made the playoffs as a wild card and were swept in round 1 by Anaheim, which is kind of embarrassing.
I mean, there's a lot of Anaheim and Calgary going on. I just assumed that Calgary was better than them, but I'm now realizing that they're kind of...
They flip-flop with each other.
They are inverses of each other, for sure.
Yeah. And in 2018, they also missed the playoffs. There's a big trade with Carolina postseason, which included Dougie Hamilton going to Carolina.
And we're grateful, thankful, and blessed.
Yes, we are. And now he's at Jersey.
We are grateful, thankful, and blessed.
And the 18-19 season, they would win the division title for the first time since 2006, losing in round 1 of the playoffs to Colorado in 5.
Fair enough.
Mark Giordano won the James Norris, though, after being the 5th defenseman in NHL history to score 60 points.
Dang.
At or over the age of 35. They always put that no one reaches for statistics like the NHL.
They will find any reason.
They're like, he's the first player born on May 18th.
Before 8 a.m. to do this maneuver.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Did
Excellent.
you see it? Yes. The 1920 season, they re-signed Matthew Tkachuk to a 3-year deal that made him the highest paid player on their roster. They also re-signed a goalie and some other wingers. And in November, after Akeem Ali, who was a Ukrainian, Nigerian, Canadian. So he was born in Ukraine. One of his parents is Nigerian. One of his parents is Ukrainian. But he grew up in Canada. But it's a lot.
Good for him.
Yeah, he considers himself Canadian Nigerian, but he actually spoke out about racism and physical violence from their head coach, Bill Peters.
Physical violence?
Yes, it doesn't really go into a lot of it, but yeah, Peters took a leave of absence while an internal investigation went on, obviously, and then formally resigned on November 29th.
Get the fuck out of here. Bye, bitch.
Yeah, and was replaced
There's the door, bitch.
And was replaced by Jeff Ward. After Peter's resignation, they broke a franchise record.
Got rid of their dead weight.
And had 7 straight wins. COVID hit, but they still made the playoffs despite COVID hitting, losing in round 1 to Dallas.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah. They missed the 2021 playoffs, and their head coach was fired. Sutter actually came back and was rehired as head coach at that time. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah. Their captain was chosen by Seattle in that expansion draft. So they did not have a captain for the 2021-2022 season. But they still returned to playoffs, finally winning in round 1, beating Dallas with a Game 7 overtime, and Johnny Gaudreau scoring the game-winning goal.
Sounds like him.
Yeah, it does.
Like something Johnny would do.
Yeah, it does. That was the first time they moved past round 1 since 2015. They did lose in round 2 to the Oilers, which tracks. And in that postseason, both Gaudreau and Tkachuk became free agents. Gaudreau signed to Columbus to be closer to his family, and Tkachuk reported that he didn't want to sign a long-term contract with Calgary, so they traded him to Florida.
He doesn't want to be held down.
Monahan was also traded to free up some salary cap space so that they could sign Nazem Kadri from Colorado to a 7-year, $49 million deal. 2022-2023, they had high expectations. Again,
reckless.
No playoffs. In April of 23, they hired a new director of hockey ops. The next month, they hired a new GM. In June, they hired a new head coach. Tyler Toffoli was traded to the Devils. So Markstrom was actually a goaltender for them at the time, too.
They had Markstrom, too?
Yeah. They just fed everybody.
They had all of these great players, and they couldn't put it together.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. There was rumors about Markstrom also going to the Devils. At the time, he didn't, but now we know he's there. Thank God.
Markstrom's home. Home for real. I love him.
Yeah. And in September of 2023, they named a new captain, Michael Backlund, who was actually the longest serving Flames player in history. And last season, they missed the playoffs by 17 points.
Not surprised.
No. There's a couple things that I do want to point out. We've already talked. They're based out of Alberta, the same as the Oilers. And so their games are called the Battle of Alberta, which is cutesy.
That's very fun.
Yeah. They have a charitable organization called the Flames Foundation that has donated 32 million Canadian dollars throughout southern Alberta since they've moved.
I love that.
Yeah. They mainly donate to the Rotary Club and helped fund the first children's hospice center in Alberta.
Oh, snaps.
One of only 6 in North America.
Good for them.
They actually have their own bar, restaurant, entertainment facility in downtown Calgary called the Palace Theater, which is super fun. Yeah, so that's where a lot of fans who aren't going to the games go to watch the games.
That's so cute.
Their 2004 Stanley Cup Finals run, they had, so their jerseys have a big C on them. It's the vintage jersey, and it's like a C that's got flames coming out of it.
I love.
Yeah, it was a vintage one. And they brought it back up for their Stanley Cup Finals run, and a lot of fans wanted that jersey. So much so that the manufacturer of NHL jerseys had to stop production of all other teams in order to keep up with how much they were selling of those jerseys.
I love that. I love the support. They're not good, but these people are like holding up production to get the jerseys they want.
Yes.
For a team that doesn't really do much.
Yes. Also, their fans are kind of referred to as the C, as in the letter C, the Sea of Red.
Ooh.
And during the national anthem, they specifically yell the words C and red. And that's the Calgary Flames.
I like them only because I really like all the players they've had come through. Not because they do anything. Mm-hmm. I love how the fans love them. I love that.
No one's really doing much of anything, which I hate to say. They have a lot of lefties. Dang.
Maybe we should start getting some righties.
All of their centers are lefties. That's kind of crazy.
How did they manage that?
I don't know. And their wingers, 3 out of 6 are lefties. They have a lot of righty defensemen, but all of their goalies are lefties too.
Weird.
That's so strange.
Well, I wish them luck. I hope that they get it together.
Yeah.
I like them. I don't know why I like them other than that I love how their fans love them.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is I love how their fans love them.
I'm like, if you treat your fans right, even if you're a loser, like, that's harsh. Even if you are not very good.
Even if you suck and you should just give up.
I don't know. It just shows. I don't know. For me, green flag. Next.
Okay, San Jose Sharks.
Baby shark. Doo, 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 doo.
Their motorsport equivalent, IndyCar, Jukos Hollinger Racing. Mainly Connor Daly.
Okay. Very niche.
I know.
I was about to make you cite your season. Because they're very different.
They are different. It's true. Connor Daly.
The man he is.
The man he is. I said young and goofy, exciting to watch. I just said fingers crossed they can actually develop into a successful team, because they seem to care a lot and they're putting in work. They aren't really good right now, but they are in a rebuild.
Everyone's in a rebuild.
Yeah. They have some like young, exciting players that are hilarious too. So they were founded in 1991. They're owned by San Jose Sports and Entertainment Enterprises. Their general manager is Mike Greer, and their current head coach is Ryan Warsofsky. They have not won a Stanley Cup, but they have made the finals in 2016 versus the Penguins. They have 1 conference championship, also in 2016, and they have 6 division championships.
I would like to submit for the board Kick Sauber. They're not good, but they're so funny. The Valtteri Bottas PR, unmatched. Young and goofy.
These are actually great
and
points.
Bottas is not like young in age. He's just young in spirit.
He is.
And Joe is young.
Yeah, their 2 number 1 players are young in age and spirit.
Good for them.
Yes.
I would like to submit for the board Kick Sauber.
Okay, the board will review. Prior to the Sharks, there were the California Golden Seals that played in Auckland.
That is a dumb name.
Oakland, not Auckland. They only played from it's still a dumb name. The Golden Seals, that is stupid.
Atrocious.
They played from 1967 to 1976, but they were never good. And in 76, they moved to Cleveland. They had wanted to move multiple times over multiple years, but the league kept rejecting it. They became the Cleveland Barons. Attendance was still bad. They still weren't good. So they actually merged with another failing team, the Minnesota Stars.
So their fight or flight is fly.
100%.
They just want to relocate. They just want to test the waters out somewhere different.
Yeah. So this merge between the Cleveland Barons and the Minnesota Stars created the North Stars, now known as the Dallas Stars, because they're in Texas.
This strengthens my claim of Kick Sauber because they change names and
You're
everything
so right.
every few years.
You're really right.
Really every other year, if not every year.
Yeah. So that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the Sharks' history, but I wanted to say that because there's these 2 brothers, the Guns. They helped facilitate that merge with the Stars, but they were from the Bay Area, and they still wanted a team in the Bay Area.
I just think the North Stars is such a cute name. Like, I would root for them, name alone. And the uniforms, brother, you can go as far as you want.
Yeah. After facilitating a lot of that merge, bought the Stars. So they owned the looming Stars that were going on, but they still wanted a team in the Bay Area because that's where they were from. And they proposed to the NHL to move the Stars.
They proposed? Did the NHL say yes?
No, the NHL said, no, you can't move another team.
I respect them for saying no.
Yeah.
Said you have cashed out all of your moves.
Yeah.
That's not the problem. The problem is not the area. We need to look inwards.
Yeah. There's this other guy going on too, Howard Baldwin, who previously owned the Hartford Whalers.
I thought I recognized the name.
He had a group of investors that wanted to put a team in San Jose. San Jose had been building a new arena. So they made a deal. The Guns would sell their shares of the Stars to Baldwin's group. Baldwin had all been... They'd been promised they just hadn't fully received an NHL franchise to put in San Jose. So they were like, okay, we'll give you our San Jose franchise. You give us this. The NHL also allowed the Guns to take a limited amount of players from the Stars to put on the new team. And you might be wondering what the frick is in this for the Baldwins, because they're just getting a shit team. They got to participate in the 1991 expansion draft.
There it is.
Yes. Everything happened. That's what they
Everyone
did.
rejoiced. There's peace throughout the land.
Everybody got what they wanted.
Exactly. Are you happy? I'm happy. Are you
happy.
I'm happy. Is everyone happy? Raise your hand if you're unhappy. Exactly.
Okay. So 1991-92 was their first season. They did have a great roster. They drafted Pat Fallon, who led the team in points that season.
Period.
They acquired 14-year veteran from the Blackhawks, Doug Wilson, who had also won the Norris Trophy, and they named him the first team captain. They still didn't have a great season. It's their first season.
Yeah, they're just starting out, and they're starting out from a shit team anyways.
Yeah, their next season was worse.
It was worse. It was bad, but it got worse.
They lost 71 games, Lauren, including a 17-game losing streak.
I don't want to hear nothing from the Sabres. I don't want to hear a word. It can always be worse.
Their head coach was fired.
71 games. I didn't know that was possible.
It is.
I would have just stopped showing up to play.
Their head coach was fired.
Yeah.
They would move arenas as well.
Mother fricker.
Well,
it's not the outside.
They had already been building a new arena. It just wasn't complete. So they finally moved into their new arena.
I hope they sage this new one.
Regardless of this 71 loss season,
if you tell me they went to playoffs.
No, they didn't. God, no, they did
I was like, that's not possible.
That's literally not possible. There's no one better.
I was like, there is no way that the bar is that low.
Regardless of that, they led the league in merch sales with $150 worth of sales. $150 million. It was a really bad season.
Nobody was buying merch that year. Nobody.
Literally one person bought merch and it was for them.
One girl saw a player, thought I like him, and bought
give it to me right now.
$150 in merch, and they said, "Congratulations, you are now one of our elite buyers."
The only one, if you
only one.
$150 million. 93-94 season, they made the playoffs for the first time. This was only their third season, so that's not bad. They had what's crazy is they didn't even have a winning record. The record of the season was 33-35-16 with 82 points.
How very Anaheim.
But it was a 58-point jump from the previous season of this. Oh my gosh. And they played round 1 against the Red Wings, who were the top team in the conference.
They swept them, right?
Yeah, they upset them in 4 games.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Who won?
The Sharks upset them in 7 games. You were saying the Red Wings swept them. No, Queen. The Sharks did that thing.
How? Where did they pull that from?
The $150 of merch. They said
we gotta make our fan proud.
Our fan single. They would lose in round 2 to the Maple Leafs, though. But
Thank God.
They still pushed a game 7 in round 2, which was kind of crazy.
They pushed a game 7 on the Maple Leafs?
Yes! They upset the Red Wings in 94.
I was rocked to my core.
After previously losing 71 games.
I didn't remember that from the Red Wings episode.
They made the 95 playoffs as well, losing in round 2 to Detroit. Then they would miss the playoffs again in 1996. And they're going to enter a rebuild. Duh. My God.
It's not working.
The 97 season was still bad. They only won 27 games, which is rough. And in both...
Not as rough as losing 71.
Yeah, I don't think anything can be as rough as that.
I don't think anything has been as rough or could be as rough as that.
Yeah. But in 98 and 99, they would make the playoffs, losing both times in round 1. 2000. Yeah. The 1999 through 2000 season, they had their first ever winning record.
We did it. We did it.
We did it. Yeah.
It took us a decade, but there we are.
They made the playoffs, eliminating the number 1 seed in the league, the St. Louis Blues.
How do they do
in
this?
round 1? I don't know. Before losing in round 2 to the Dallas Stars.
Fair enough.
In 2000 and 2001, they acquired Teemu Selanne from Anaheim.
Welcome.
Yes.
I forgot you go here now.
Yes. They also had Evgeny Nabokov, a goalie, who actually won the Calder for Rookie of the Year that season.
That's a very intimidating name.
Yeah.
If I'm playing someone whose first name is Avengii.
It's like Evgeny Malkin is who I think of immediately, and I don't want to play against him. They lost in round 1 to the Blues in the playoffs, but they made the playoffs.
We went to the playoffs.
The 2001-2002 season is considered their breakout season. I don't know. They had one really good season. They won the division title and went to the playoffs, defeating the Coyotes in round 1. And then in round 2, they lost to Colorado. But like, I don't know how you can call that your breakout season.
I wouldn't call that a breakout season, but what do I know?
No. In the postseason, the Guns actually sold the team to a group of local investors led by team president Greg Jameson. 2002, 2003, terrible times. Their captain was traded away, as well as other players. Head coach was fired. They got a new general manager. They're rebuilding again. 2003, 2004, they signed some young players to help jumpstart the team again. And they actually had best season in team history at that time. They were third in the league with 104 points, their first 100-plus point season.
They finally did it.
I
That's
know.
what I call a breakout season.
That's what I'm saying. They beat St. Louis in round 1.
Nice.
And beat Colorado in round 2 to make the conference finals for the first time in franchise history.
There we go.
Losing to Calgary. Then there was the lockout.
Honestly, Calgary needed it more than y'all.
Calgary did need it more than y'all. The lockout, so we're to
Yes.
2005, 2006. That is a slow start to this season, including a 10-game losing streak. After some trades, specifically acquiring Joe Thornton, they rallied to make the playoffs and beat Nashville in round 1 before losing in round 2 to the Oilers.
We were never going to win that fight. I'm
No.
honestly surprised we won any fight thus far.
Yeah. Joe Thornton won the Hart Memorial and the Art Ross with 125 points that season.
He said, I'm going to put this team on my back.
Jonathan Chichu won the Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy for the most goals scored as
Nice.
well. 2006-2007, they went into that season with the youngest average age of any NHL team in the league. But they also had the biggest average height. So they just were like, oh, you're young and tall. Come on.
Come on. Come follow me.
Come on.
Get into my band.
I know what to do with you. And
How do you feel about ice skates?
Yes, and they finished with a 51-26-5 record, the best in
Nice.
franchise history. Made it to round 2 of the playoffs, losing to the Red Wings. 2007-2008, they had another hot streak to begin. In March, they actually didn't lose a single game in regular time. If they lost a game,
How?
it's because it went to overtime.
I'm manifesting that for my teams.
Yeah, they made the playoffs, lost in round 2 to Dallas. Their head coach was fired at the end of the season and replaced with assistant coach Tom McClellan. 2008-2009, made some great trades, actually.
Finally.
Yes, mid-season they acquired Claude Lemieux, who was 43 years old and returning from 5 years off, which is crazy to me.
Our threshold is so terrible.
Yeah.
We want you. Please.
Please. They did win the President's Trophy, though, that season
You
with
know
the
what?
best regular season record
What do I even know?
before
Nothing.
losing in round 1 to Anaheim.
We're always going to lose in round 1. Maybe
Yeah.
round 2. If we're
Yeah.
lucky.
2010 and 2011 had a lot of trades, a lot of not renewed contracts, some retirements. They did make the 2011 conference finals, winning it, but there's nothing else that's really notable. 2012-2013 season, they had pretty much all new assistant coaches that focused on developing a defensive heavy style of play. And their special teams. It's giving Seattle right now. Their PK, their penalty kill, had been 29th in the league.
That's
So, yeah.
embarrassing.
They really focused on being better defensively. And they made the playoffs, sweeping the Canucks in round 1. The first series sweep in franchise history.
Good for them.
Yeah, they made round 2 against the Los Angeles Kings and lost The Kings actually won the Stanley Cup that year.
I was about to say that was their year.
Yeah. Postseason, they slightly changed their color scheme and got new uniforms.
They
dyed their hair and cut bangs.
Sometimes it does work, and we have seen that.
Yeah. They started off the season undefeated with the first 9 games, which was then broken by Boston in October.
I mean, I would say it's working already.
Yeah. They made the playoffs. In round 1, they started off winning the first 3 games against the Kings, would then lose the next 4 to be out in round 1. Their general manager said that their failures in playoffs were, quote, like Charlie Brown trying to kick a football.
That's brutal, but also really funny.
In that preseason, the 2014 in between, they would strip the captaincy from Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau, who had been co-captains.
Okay.
And basically opened it up to anybody and said, it's time for y'all to compete to see who can actually be
If you want it, come and get it.
Yeah, if you want it, come and get it.
If you're ready, come and get it.
And they didn't name a captain that season. They missed playoffs as well as having a record of 40-33-9, which isn't too bad at all, but it was their first time in 10 years without making the playoffs. And they had a clean sweep of coaching staff.
I just always feel like you need a captain. I feel like you need a clear leader.
I agree.
I don't think it's ever worked out that I've heard so far of when they don't have a captain.
2015-2016, they made the playoffs and the Stanley Cup Finals versus the Penguins.
How did they do that?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you have a captain.
I'll tell you how they did that. Round 1, they beat the Kings in 5 games. Round 2, they beat the Predators. In the conference finals, they beat the St. Louis Blues. Played the Penguins in the finals before losing. But
I mean, they should be very proud of themselves.
Yeah.
That's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, 2017, they lost in round 1 to the Oilers. 2018, they actually swept the Ducks in round 1 before losing to the Golden Knights. 2019, they came back from 3 games to 1 to beat Vegas in round 1. They beat Colorado in round 2 and then lost to the Blues in the conference finals. They had more problems. They missed the playoffs in 2021. They missed them in 2020 as well. 2022, Doug Wilson, their GM, took medical leave.
For why?
They didn't list why. Their assistant GM, Joe Will, took over as an interim position.
So we went from Joe Wilson to Joe Will?
Doug Wilson to Joe Will.
Okay.
They missed the playoffs for the 3rd year in a row. Many coaching staff were relieved of duties, and they officially entered a rebuild. Thank God.
Dude, what did they think they were doing before? Just suffering?
They weren't doing anything to help themselves, that's for sure.
I thought Anaheim was purgatory, but I think it might be them.
They're doing okay this season. This rebuild started 2022, right? Mm-hmm. They named a new general manager, Mike Greer, the 5th GM in franchise history, and the first black GM in NHL history.
Yeah!
Yes.
Okay.
He had played 221 games with the Sharks and was part of that President Trophy winning team.
So cute. I love when they do this.
Yes. Also, they traded longtime defenseman Brent Burns to Carolina.
You know what? We said thank you. We would love him.
I said thank you.
Seth Jarvis needs a dad. Come on over.
Yeah. Literally. The 2022-2023 season, they actually started the season in Czech Republic. You know how the Devils played a global series?
Yes.
That's what they did that season.
I love that.
Against Nashville, which has actually been said to really bring the team together because you're in a different country. You have nothing going on. You're really just relying on each other. You're getting to know. You're building that chemistry.
You don't speak the local language 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I think everyone needs a little vacation.
Yeah.
Abroad.
When they came back home, Patrick Marleau's number was retired. He had played 1,607 games and held almost all of the offensive records for the franchise, which is crazy. Timo Meier.
Thank you for your service.
Timo Meier was traded to the Devils as well for multiple assets, 2 first-round draft picks and 2 players.
They really, both of these teams, San Jose and Calgary, are just like our pipelines.
They are the pipeline star teams.
Literally the devils of the game.
Literally. I'm also mainly calling them out because I know that we know them.
Fair.
They did, however, place 14th in the conference and missed out on playoffs.
Yeah.
Erik Karlsson, despite all of that, he was a Sharks defenseman, finished with 101 points and 67 assists.
He was a defenseman, and he did all of that.
Very
nice. Thank you so
both
much.
of those were records for the San Jose defenseman, of course. And he became the 6th defenseman in NHL history to record 100 points, the first since 1992, and was given the Ted Lindsay Award for the most outstanding NHL player, as well as the Norris Trophy.
I knew it. I knew he was going to get the Norris.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to say.
It was his 3rd Norris Trophy in his career. Then there's last season. They won the 4th pick for the 2023 draft, and they drafted Will Smith. He went to play college for 1 year. He's there now. But November 2023, they became the first NHL team since 1966 to allow 10 goals in consecutive games as well. So it was not fun. Their head coach was fired. Macklin Celebrini was drafted, all of the good stuff. This season, they're not great. They're really not doing much of anything. They've put kind of their whole team in Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith. They're Connor Bedarding it. They're building this team around them.
How old are these kiddos?
Macklin Celebrini is like 19 and Will Smith is probably 20.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, they're
How do they know each other?
They play on the same team.
Or did they know each other before? Mm-hmm. So they just met and were like, we're going to be best friends. We're both a couple of young guys.
Yeah, they're the young guys on the team.
I'm looking up their record. That's all I'm doing.
It's not great.
It can't be worse than the Predators. And it's not.
No, I think the Predators are worse.
They're 11, 19, and 6.
Yeah, they're not great at all.
Yikes.
Yeah, but they've got good vibes.
I love a good vibe.
Yeah. We could talk about Macklin Celebrini.
Please.
Real quick.
What a name. Number one, what a name.
Yeah, what a name. First overall pick in the 2024 draft. He played his freshman year at Boston University, but his brother Aiden also played at Boston University.
Aiden Celebrini.
Mm-hmm. He was drafted.
That's a very cute name.
Yeah. Aiden was drafted in the 6th round in 2023. These are all the awards he won. He played one year in college hockey, right? Hockey East Player of the Year, Hockey East Rookie of the Year, Hockey East Scoring Champion, Hockey East 3 Stars Award, and he won the Hobie Baker for the NCAA's Men's Ice Hockey Player of the Year. The youngest player ever to do so at 17 years old.
He's a baby.
And one of 4 freshmen in history to do so.
He won 5 awards in 1 year?
Yes. He swept that award show. His father was a professional soccer player for the Vancouver 86ers and later actually worked for the Canucks and then the Golden State Warriors, which is NBA, as the director of sports medicine and performance.
So he's done 3 different sports.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Macklin actually lives with Joe Thornton and his family. But he's also 18, 19 years old.
He's a baby. You think that man knows how to cook food and pay bills?
No.
I don't think so either. Joe Thornton, the man you are.
Yes.
Cute.
Will Smith, 4th overall draft pick in 2023. Part of the U.S. national team development program. He won silver in 2022 with the World Under-18 Championship.
Dadgum.
Won gold in 2023 with the World Under-18 Championship. And then won gold in 2024 with the World Juniors Championship.
Oh my gosh, he's really good.
Yeah.
Has that translated into the NFL? Nope.
That's I don't know. The sport we play. No, it has not translated. NHL. It has not translated into the NFL.
I don't know why people watch the NFL.
They're pretty good, but they're also rookies.
I mean, they're kiddos.
Yeah. I have a couple notable things. When they go on a power play, the Jaws theme song plays.
I love that. Okay, good. I was hoping. I'm like, that's if you're not pulling Jaws into this, it's a missed opportunity.
Yes. And at home games, at the opening, they have a 17-foot shark mouth lower from the ceiling that they skate out of as an entrance in the entrance song Seek and Destroy by Metallica plays.
Oh my God, that is sick. That is
Yeah.
epic.
Yeah. I think
Dude,
so too.
if they were actually good.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine
I'd be
Anaheim going to
intimidated.
play a like good Sharks team and they lower a fucking massive shark mouth
Yes.
and play Metallica Seek and Destroy?
Yeah.
And then they just skate out there. I'd be like, you know what?
I actually want to go home.
I'm inter reserved. Dude,
Yeah.
there's so much potential for them to be
Yeah.
awesome.
I think
But they suck.
Macklin Celebrini, I don't know. Here's where I struggle because they're treating him like Connor Bedard. I've heard multiple people say that he's better than Connor Bedard. Connor Bedard's in a slump right now. I don't know. But I think he's incredible. I think he'll be great. I think him and Will Smith will be the Avengie Malkin and Sidney Crosby of it. That's a bold statement for me to
I
make.
think they're going to be the Connor McDavid and the Drysdale.
Yeah.
Draisaitl is what I meant to do.
Yeah, I think they'll be
love them.
good. I think give it a few more years. But those two are definitely good goal scorers. They're fast. They know what they're doing. It's just kind of a matter of the rest of the team.
I like Celebrini and Smith, Will Smith.
Yeah.
That team. I don't know how to help you. I really don't. I want them to do better though. They've got so much potential. They could be so cool. Okay, is there anything else we need to say? I think we've said more than enough.
We've said so much, yeah.
Okay. Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you next episode.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to those who celebrate, and to those who don't,
I'm sorry.
happy Sunday.